Hello everyone and welcome to HVMP's live coverage from the Michigan International Raceway. I'm Dylan Livingood, your host, alongside with Brandon Nicholson and Keith Sherman. Now, we have a little bit of a different setup. There's similar sized tracks, Daytona and Michigan, but definitely a different package. Sherm, what do you think we're going to see today as far as who's going to be up front, what the kind of racing is going to be like? Tell me what you think it's going to go on.
Well, like you said, these tracks are similar in size, but they are not anywhere near the same racetrack. You got 2.0 mile speedway here in Michigan, and you've got about half as much banking as you do at Daytona. So these cars are still not as powerful as, say, your average Proline Cup Series car. So they'll be able to stay bunched together. So we're still going to see some serious pack racing here, but it's going to be a little bit tighter as you see everybody try to give each other room off these turns. You come off the turn, it's going to funnel up towards the wall. Watching them in practice, they're able to go 3 and 4 wide easily. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Now you said they're going 3 and 4 wide. What kind of effect does that have on you as a driver?
Well, it can be either the most intense, most nerve-wracking, or most exciting time of the race if you're a driver. It all depends on how your car's handling. If you've got a good handling car and you can get down into the corner and stick it on the white line, you'll be good to go. But if you're in the middle there, if you're in the second or third row and you've got cars on either side of you, you're not going to have, let's just say you're probably going to grow some gray hairs before the race is over.
And another thing that's going to make you grow some gray hair is the different strategies that are being pulled. We saw it last week. Brandon, if you had to pick a strategy for this race based on what you saw last race, what would you do?
Well, I personally would probably pit early and let everything cycle, and just let everything cycle out. There's probably going to be few incidents. Then, if there is a caution during pit stops, then if you pit it early, you're going to get the lead, and you'll have those fresher. They'll have to. I'm not very good.
Yes, definitely some different strategies being played. I think it's about time to show you guys the cars that you'll be seeing in the race today. On track now here. We bring ourselves to the front of this pack. It's the 41 of Brian Mercurio out front leading this freight train in that lime green car. Then we got Andrew Schwartz in the 67 in that teal colored car. David Krikorian in the blue colored car. Justin Malillo in that red car. We saw him go upside down at Daytona. He's looking for his luck to improve here. 28 of Ryan Williams. We saw him pretty much go all or nothing last week. Came up short, unfortunately. Jake Poulin in that 00 purple car, and then Dylan Smith in that pink number 22. Also on track, we have the number 88, Caleb Paul. And go ahead, what were you going to say, Brandon?
Last week's winner, Kyle Relly, is also in this race. I don't remember what color car he is, but he's also in the race. He's just not on track.
And I'm looking at the entries here. I don't think we have our points leader, Cullen Brown. We have quite a few absences. Looks like we're missing Cullen Brown, Kevin McAdams, John Flournoy, Adam Kodal, who was here but unable to compete. Doesn't want to do it on a laptop with wireless internet. I don't blame him. Xander Clements having issues with Windows 8.1. We got DK racking in the back there. That's something to talk about, how Windows 8.1 can it really affected Xander going into this. Still not a good fix for that. Unfortunate for him though. Chris Overland is absent for the second week in a row. Jordan Buster's not here, and I believe Josh Chin also not in this race.
I believe Chin, here. I don't know if he'll be competing. He said he was here. He was here for the drivers' meeting anyway.
Don't see his number in the server.
Yeah,
Unfortunate for him. I believe didn't he miss last week too? Not sure if my memory can go that far back. As we're swapping positions down here on the front straightaway. We're going to see a lot of that during the race. And you know, when's the time for these guys to get aggressive, Sherm?
Oh, it's a fairly long race here. You got 78 laps to kind of figure out where your car is. And assuming the tire wear is not as aggressive, then you can see these guys stuck together. You see they're practicing green flag pit stops right here. And Jake Poulin getting in there hot a little bit.
Yeah, if you're locking it up like that, you're not going to be conserving the tires too much.
Definitely. But it's all going to depend. It's a long race. So you might not see them get into the big packs early. You might see some guys fall into line. Or you might see some guys go up there. There is a halfway bonus points advantage. So you might be people trying to get themselves in position for that. I don't know if there's a bonus points for leading laps or not, but you know, it's always good to be up front no matter what. So you might see people just trying to shoot through the field, seeing what they have when it comes down to the end of the race.
And it's definitely good to pick up those extra couple of bonus points. We saw last week, even though Kyle Riley won, Cullen Brown emerged as your points leader because he was leading at halfway, was able to bring it home second. So even if you don't win the race, you might still be able to give an advantage over the guy in first if he's your closest points competitor. Definitely something to watch out for as these laps unfold, as everyone gets back onto the main racing surface. Brandon, what are we going to see during these pit stops? I mean, we saw a couple of guys locking them up. You know, how's that transition going to work out?
well, yeah, when you're coming into the pits, when you're stepping on these brakes, you know, you're going to light up the tires. And especially if you miss your pit stall, that's going to be tough. But obviously you don't need to conserve tires when you're coming into the pits because you're going to be picking most likely, unless you're just going gas and go. But we are going to see mostly 4 tire stops because it is an intermediate track. So 4 tires is going to...
I mean, it could kill the possibility for two tire pit stops for sure. But like you said, I mean, we have, what, 18 degrees of banking here at Michigan, if my stats are correct, as we see a lot of warp between on the number 80 of Caleb Paul there. He's been struggling with that the past couple of weeks. He narrowly avoids Dylan Smith in the pit lane. And that's another thing worth noting, is we have a couple of drivers here. We have one driver from Canada, one from Colorado with a terrible internet provider. Sorry if anyone from CenturyLink is watching, but or whoops, can I say that on a broadcast? But anyways, you know, that's going to definitely affect how aggressive those guys can be early on, and if they can be aggressive at all. I don't know where I was trying to go with that, but
You'll see people that are having these connection issues. They'll be ones you'll see taking it kind of easy. They won't be up there in the pack making moves early on. They'll be conserving their car for the sake of their car and others around them. It'll just be a headache. As I think we're delaying the start of the race just a minute or two as Josh Chin gets to the racetrack. Running a little bit late.
Flying in his helicopter, his virtual helicopter here. Running across the virtual pit lane.
Get another chance to see maybe a mock restart here, or they might just take off.
It looks like they're going to take off.
I do believe Josh was in the server. I think Josh was in the server earlier, and we're just waiting on him.
So I'm not sure what car he's going to be racing with. I don't see a 93 registered.
He's registered. I see his number here on the list. Got in and disconnected just before qualifying. maybe even during.
Alrighty then. I guess shows how smart I am. Anyways, we're rocketing down the front straightaway here. We're still pulling speeds. 205. Into corner number 1 goes Caleb Paul. All the way down to 179, 178 as he's pushing up. That's another thing. At the end of that straightaway, how hard is it to get woed down for the corner?
Like I said earlier, these cars, not as powerful. Oh, big hit there. The 22 Dylan Smith hit the outside wall a ton. These cars not as powerful as your average Cup car, so they won't have to jam on the brakes to get down into the turn. You'll see them drop speeds though, at least to, I'm looking at them, about 180. Kyle Riley's kind of out of the groove there, but going from about 208 to 180, getting down into the turn, and that's going to put a bunch of stress on the tires themselves as well. So later on the run, if we get long green flag runs, you'll see them backing off sooner and sooner into the turns. So they get fresh rubber.
One thing I did hear the 66 of David Krikorian say in practice was everyone's really battling as they're battling each other 4 wide in practice. Excuse me, in happy hour. They're 3 wide now. They're not going to let up. Now they finally let up. Now that Caleb's warp came into play. But going back to my point earlier, the 66 David Krikorian was complaining of a little bit of a slide issue going into the corners. I mean, is that going to affect tire wear all that much, or do you think you run the car down in there hard, you get it a little bit sideways, you slide it, and try to make it stick?
It will affect the cars a little bit. If you drive down into the turn and you're driving straight to the bottom and you're pushing up, that's going to put even more wear on the tires, and then that in turn can contribute to you sliding. So it all depends on, it's all driver style basically. You'll see some drivers are better at it than others. DK is one of the best at conserving, I think. I've raced with him many years. And when it
was Caleb Paul.
Oh no.
That's a pretty cool blowover on the front straightaway. Good thing this is only happy hour.
That was spectacular. Just get it out of the way before the race starts, boys.
And speaking of the race, drivers starting the gridding process here.
Drivers, to your car.
DK, not slow either. It's not just all strategy. We saw him put up the second fastest time there. Your quick time belonged to Justin Melillo. Our starting grid here. Not sure who got quick time. Looks like Brian Mercurio got quick time in qualifying. And outside of him will be the number 66 of David Krikorian. Going back farther in the field now, we have the 31 of Justin Melillo inside row number 2, and Ryan Williams in that white car on the outside. On the inside of row number 3, we have the purple Dodge of Jake Poulin, and outside of him, the orange Dodge. They're all Dodges, but orange for sure is the number 80 of Caleb Paul. A little bit farther back here we have the Dylan Smith as they get the command to start the engines. 62 of Kyle Riley starts outside of the 22. And the 2 drivers back on Gilligan's Isle are the 67 and the 93. Look for them to work their way up through the field. Sherman, what are we going to see in these opening laps?
Well, they'll come off turn 4 and they'll take the green. And you might see some guys in the back get a little aggressive. Usually the start of these races are really hectic. You'll see some 3 and some 4 wide, and hopefully they'll settle down before we end up with a big mess on our hands. But that's all in the driver's hands.
And they're rolling around at a slow 65 miles an hour. Brian Mercurio bringing them down to the green flag. Waiting on the green flag to fly, and it's out. And away we go. And it's the 66 getting an advantage. Slight advantage, but the 41's battling back on the inside. Down into corner number 1 now. They're still side by side all the way through the pack. Looks like the 62 of Kyle Riley, I believe. Looking to make it 3 wide. Thinking better of it. We got a drag race down into turn 1 between the 41 and the 66.
Already, you see the 00 Jake Pullen drop into the back of the field. It looks like he's not going to want to go up there and play for right now.
Couple of drivers pulling that same strategy. We see Josh Shinney started back there. He's just riding around behind the 00. He's coming around to lead lap 1 is the number 66 of David Krikorian. Or no, excuse me, the 41 of Brian Mercurio is. Go ahead, Brandon.
They have been switching lanes, the 2 leaders here, Brian and David. They've been switching lanes. On the start, it was Brian on the inside, then David on the outside. Then they switched. Brian was on the outside, David was on the inside. Now back to where they...
And it really shows you how racy this racetrack is as we see someone stick it down there 3 wide. That's the 31 of Justin Melillo. 3 wide coming across the start-finish line. And down into corner number 1, Justin Melillo backs out a little bit, lets the 2 leaders go and work it out. That's going to give DK a little bit of an advantage, but the 41 of Brian Mercurio is battling back here. Back onto the back straightaway we go on lap 3.
Big Pullen making a charge down into turn 3. He's going to take it 3 wide with Kyle Riley and Caleb Paul. He's going to try to see what he can do to come up through the field. And you might see some drivers do that too, just like any Talladega Super Speedway race. Maybe drop back and try to make a run through the field, see if you can do it when it counts later in the race.
Quite a battle going on between the 00 and the 31. The 31, excuse me, the 00 dives it down low. 28's right on the back end, knocking on that 31's back bumper. I think Jake Pullen got a little piece of the wall. Is you going to say something, Brandon?
I said they were just about 4 wide.
And just about 4 wide, back down to 2 wide, single file are your 2 leaders. Side by side are the 00 and the 62. We funnel them back down into turn 1 for lap number 5 of 80. It really it appears to me that after the 00 hit the wall, he's really starting to fall back through the pack. Not sure how much that affected him, but whenever you hit the wall, that's not something you want to do, especially he hit concrete when he hit.
It's possible he overcharged the corner and maybe overheated that right front a little bit. He'll just have to hang out in the back there just a little bit, maybe get it cooled back down. He'll be able to run back up through here.
As we saw Kyle Riley getting a little bit aggressive there in the DK Justin Melillo sandwich. Able to make it out without being eaten alive. He's going to filter his way to the 2nd position. Your leader out front continues to be the 41 of Brian Mercurio. DK's starting to drop back through the pack a little bit. Ryan Williams is knocking on his back bumper, looking for the spot. As look at all these different lines on the front straightaway. Side by side, the 80 and the 66, both with a little bit of warp. 00 with a little bit of warp. Everything settles back out on the back straightaway. We bring it back down into corner number 3. First place with about a 2-car length advantage over Kyle Riley and Justin Melillo. As we're going 3 wide back here in the pack. 00, 22, and 28. 28 backs out of it. He's going to lose the position of the 93.
Now, I was talking to these guys in practice, and they were saying that they're going to try to keep these cars in one piece until the very end and try to then, at the very end, have a lot of good races.
Yeah, we're kind of settling down here, saving our stuff. Still seeing a couple of people make some moves. Kyle Riley wants to be out front. We're seeing him do work and making what he wants to work. As Sherm, do you think there's a...
Zero. Sorry, I just saw the 0-0 banking off the wall coming off turn 4 again.
Yeah, tough break for him. As Sherm, do you think there's a problem with the 66 of David Krikorian?
I don't think there's a problem with this car. I think he's just he's taking it easy. Like I said, it's a long race, and as they start to get single file, this race is they're gonna start to spread out a little bit, and tire wear is gonna be about as important as anything else, as the line you run. So when you see a driver kind of back off, he battled hard with Mercurio for a little while. So he's probably just taking a step back and just letting his tires cool off.
Now, we're seeing a couple of different lines develop. Brandon, which one do you think has the advantage when we're going side by side like the 66 and the 80 are doing right now?
Well, we've seen actually the outside line hold it. The inside, it gets quite a run in the tri-oval and coming into the corners, but it seems like on the backstretch and exiting the corners, the outside line has the...
That's a very interesting point. We're seeing the inside line off of 2 really be able to do work, but coming off of corner number 4 as it eases out that turn, we're definitely seeing the high side prevail. And it's interesting to see the inside do it. As what were you going to say?
Need to keep in mind also that coming to about a lap 40, there is a halfway break in this series. So lap 40, the caution will wave, competition caution. All cars will be able to come down and get tires too. So you keep that in mind as well for these guys' strategy.
Definitely something. It's 2 different races really. It's a race to get to the halfway point and then a race to the end. Brandon, do you think we're seeing a couple of drivers maybe pull that strategy, just take it one step at a time, or do you think people are thinking long term at this time?
I don't know what's going through these drivers' heads.
I don't think anyone does, as we're seeing drivers go to the front of the pack, to the back of the pack. Really not
David
sure.
make a move. Just past.
David Krikorian around. Who is at the 93 of Josh Chin. The 80 of Caleb Paul going from the 5th position back to the 6th position. I thought he lost a couple more spots than that. But he's throwing it down there on the low side in turns 1 and 2. Trying to get the position from Kyle Riley. He's not going to be able to. Dylan Smith gets side by side with the 28 and eventually the 80. He got a good run coming off of turn number 2.
Now, something to note, Andrew Schwartz has been running at the very back this whole time. I do think that he's just conserving, just riding it around, trying to keep it in one piece, and be there for the...
And it looks like we're having a couple of drivers suffer from some pretty significant warp, but mostly drivers in the back. That's probably part of their strategy, playing it a little bit smart. These drivers know how to do that. These drivers are all champions. They've all proven themselves in their own respective series. And certainly we're seeing talent rise to the top here as Justin Malillo is making a charge through the field. David Krikorian there too. They have a couple of they have the first and second most championships in this field.
And number 66, David Krikorian, he's been in this business a long time. Racked up some 500-600 wins over his career. We're going 3 wide back here in the middle. Caleb Paul in the middle of Kyle Riley and Dylan Smith, and he's stuck there in the middle.
And Dylan Smith got the best. Fast.
That's going to open up a hole for Ryan Williams too, as there's still 3 wide cutting it back down to 2 here. So Ryan gets a little bit of an advantage in turn number 1. Caleb's going to stick with that middle groove 28, trying to take it to the 22. They're going to... Oh, looks like the 22 is going to get an advantage.
Guys getting a little antsy back here. They need to kind of settle down a little bit. Still not even 20 laps in.
And not even for one of the top spots either. But it's interesting. Maybe we're seeing a couple of drivers get desperate trying to pass. I'm not seeing one driver that's bottlenecking the others, though, so not sure why they're racing so hard. But again, like Brandon said, we can't get in the minds of these drivers. We don't know what's going on. We might be able to sneak in an interview with Caleb Paul. I just don't want to disturb him while he's doing his work out here on the racetrack.
He's turning left.
Yes, all these drivers turning left, but definitely a challenge as we're seeing strategy being pulled already. We're seeing driver skill being showcased already.
One thing that I've noticed was earlier on in the race, a lot of people were using the bottom, the apron, and the tri-oval, but now it seems that everybody's running.
I'm ready. Caleb Paul scraping the wall off of turn 2 down the backstretch.
And we've seen a handful of drivers catch that wall coming out of corner number 2. We saw Justin Malillo, who as the 00 shoots low hard. Not sure if that car was a little bit upset or if he got into the wall or what, but it just hooked hard left. What a save by the 00.
I think Poulin is struggling a little bit more than some of these other guys so far. He's not had the cleanest of races.
Yeah, he was running up against the wall earlier. He got the wall in the back, I think, a little bit earlier.
Definitely using up all that sheet metal on the right side of that car, that virtual sheet metal. As
Ryan Williams here working over the back bumper of Justin Malillo. He ran up on him and didn't have anywhere to take it. They almost bottlenecked there for a little bit, and he'll take it to the inside in turn 2.
It really doesn't look like Justin Malillo had anywhere to go. He was stuck behind the 93. Unfortunate for him, but, I mean, you gotta go as Jake Poulin hits the outside wall again. We're gonna dive it down into turn number 3 and 4. Again, Ryan Williams just barely squeaking that spot. Malillo trying to cross over.
Yeah, something's wrong with that.
I noticed it looked like Kyle Riley also hit pit road that lap.
Yep, and Andrew.
Strategies being played out here.
Maybe they were low. Needed some.
Be interested to see.
Pit stop.
Looks like Poulin has a little bit different strategy than these other guys. I don't think the other guys took tires unless we missed them pitting the last lap. But we've reached a quarter of the way through this race's distance. We're over that now. So, not surprising that we're seeing a couple drivers duck down to the pit lane.
Justin Malillo's pulled his car to pit lane for services. I expect to see a few more cars dive down this lap.
So, as it unfolds here, we're looking at about a 20 to 25 lap fuel run. Definitely more fuel going to be offered. I thought I saw some smoke.
Ryan Williams, Josh and Caleb Paul, Dylan Smith all on pit road together.
Maybe these guys are following my strategy. Jake Poulin, when he pitted early, that's just personally what I would do.
Not quite a short pit per se, but definitely getting those fresh tires, running back out there. But he's obviously lost the advantage of the draft by doing that. Justin Malillo emerges back behind the 62, Kyle Riley.
Easy coming on the pit road here, guys. We got a side-by-side battle. DK and Brian Mercurio just side by side as they came down onto the pit road. And I think DK actually pulled the pass off on pit entry.
Got to fight for every inch that you can get in these races, and we're seeing Kerkorian put the fight to whoever he wants to early on here.
It'll be interesting to see which one of these two comes out first as well, because Mercurio's got the first pit box. But DK will have a full head of steam when they drop the jack.
Yeah, and these guys definitely, their pit stalls are a lot more spread out than normal races, and even more spread out than we saw them at Daytona. Looks like Cluss is a 2 all the way down pit road.
I think there's a problem on the 66. He's in that pit stall for a long time. They've still not released him from the pit box.
I do think Jake is on a little bit different strategy. I don't think he took first because he's got the
Finally,
DK
the
on pit
66
road
gets
for a
going.
long time. I don't know what happened there.
I wonder if it was...
Unless he might have gotten a 30-second penalty. He was pretty wide when he came onto the pits.
That could have been... there's a commitment cone down there, right down at the entrance of pit road that you need to hit, and... Actually, I believe you're right. I don't think he hit that commitment cone.
Oh, Adam just...
It's our leader... Actually, is the 00 of Jake Pullen. The 62 is going to dive it on the inside.
This is definitely going to hurt. This is also hurt. Along with DK, this is hurting Mercurio too, because that was his draft, so now he's falling back here in the middle of the pack. So he'll have to fight to get back up front as these three battle nose to tail. Kyle Riley, Jake Pullen, and Justin Malilla.
And after those pit stops, these three have really pulled away from the rest of the field. They have about a 1 to 2 second advantage over them. 67 of Andrew Schwartz back 13 seconds behind the pack with an issue. And obviously we saw what unfolded with the 66 team. Tough break for both of those drivers.
Yeah. Do you think these top 3 guys up here didn't take time?
Not sure.
They have quite the advantage.
I have my theory for it. What's your theory, Sherm?
It's hard to tell. I didn't see their pit stops. I was watching the action on the track, so it's hard to tell if the 28 is kind of closing in on them too. So they might have taken tires, or they might have taken 2 tires or no tires. It's hard to tell, but I think they're all going to run back together here pretty quickly.
As our leader Kyle Riley hit a 37.255 that last lap. Ryan Williams with a 36.9. Quite a bit of a time advantage there on the 28.
Maybe he did have fresh.
And I mean, these 3 drivers are nose-to-tail drafting, and most of the time when that happens, it's hard to catch up like the 28's doing, but
he's running them down. So I'd have to say they probably did not take tires, and that advantage is not big enough to get them a win at the end of the race. So they might want to scrap that strategy when they get to this. Of course, now that I think about it, the strategy may have just been to be at the front for the halfway break. We are coming on 10 laps to go before lap 40. So maybe that was the thinking. Hard to tell what's going on in this driver's brains.
They're definitely going to have to run like a bat out of hell here, because Ryan Williams is coming quick and he's bringing the rest of the pack. The rest of the pack is about a second behind the 28. The 28's right there on the back bumper of the 31. These 9 laps are going to be the longest 9 laps of the race. If you're Jake Pullen, Justin Malillo, or Kyle Riley. We're seeing the 28 finally make the pass around the 31. 28's got to go or he's going to get gobbled up by the rest of these guys. Oh, it's
Off the wall
pulling
again.
hard like on the 0-0.
There's not
Maintains the
gonna be much of
lead.
that right side left as he keeps that up.
I think with his strategy,
like
he couldn't have
the
fixed
fifth-
damage.
Jake is loving that wall, isn't he?
It's quite the bottleneck here. 93 and 41 are coming quick. That pit mishap on the 66 didn't affect the 41 all that much, as he's right there. As these guys are going 3 wide.
Things are about to get a little crazy here now that Ryan Williams is taking the lead. Josh Chin is catching up with Brian Mercurio. These guys are about to go at it.
And Ryan Williams was staying at the back earlier on in the race. We didn't see much of him, but now he's up.
Oh,
Oh!
Jake sideways.
Jake Poulin
Saved
saves
it.
it.
Jake
That
up out of the
save.
groove with a nice save there. That's not going to help his tire conservation strategy.
Absolutely not. I'm surprised he caught that thing. Usually, it's hard to get out of shape here, but usually when you do, it's gone. So that was a great job of driving. Keep that car under control.
It really shows the talent of these drivers saving these cars. That was amazing.
A lot of talent on the 0-0 machine, but nonetheless still affecting him quite a bit. He went from first to eighth that last lap. 1.2 seconds behind the 28 of Ryan Williams, your leader. And expect for him to lose some more spots as his car's on fresher tires. Increase the gap just a little bit. He might be able to hold his own for the next 6 laps.
David is hoping and praying that they don't catch him before the halfway.
As I'm not sure if they have lucky dogs.
I
think they do.
I think the lucky dog is in effect, and I don't think they'll get to him before we get the halfway break. We've got
Oh, is
Oh,
4 or 5
the
left to go.
67 of Kyle, or 62 of Kyle
That's-
Riley way out of shape on the
Got
back
the-
straightaway. Got a little bit of the wall.
yeah, and he was side. Another nice.
Suddenly taking no tires or just taking 2 is seeming like the exact wrong thing to do.
Yeah, those were the 2 that I do think that didn't take tires, along with Justin Malello. So I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Malello got a little side.
Justin is holding his own here. It's the 41's all over the back bumper. He's getting sideways. You can tell he's getting a little bit of aero loose, but nice piece of driving by the 31, keeping it straight on those old tires. And he's in second.
And 4 to go until the competition.
So I think the drivers on the either 2-tire or no-tire strategy really wanting that halfway point to roll around so they can get 4 fresh Goodyears. I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
if I was
they're
Ryan
not.
Williams right now, I wouldn't want that competition caution at all.
It does appear that Kyle and Jake are jumping off.
Yeah, pack's been lost for sure. They're each
The good-
about a second behind each other.
The good news is once we hit this halfway break, they'll get the chance to regroup. They'll get fresh tires. You beat those side panels out a little bit if you're Jake. They'll get another shot to go at it. It seems like they'll be able to come down the pit road here, and then it'll be a one-stop race from there.
We're seeing a battle for the lead unfold. 41 of Brian Mercurio sticks it in on the inside of the 28. The 28 and the 41 racing hard for those 3 extra bonus points.
And those 3 extra bonus points is what got Colin the point lead.
This will be the this should be the last lap here before the comp yellow, so this will be going to take essentially the white flag. Oh,
Was the 41 completely disappears?
Yep.
actually,
How's that gonna affect?
41 as he was the leader. So they are racing to the line here.
I think Brian.
That's a heartbreak, is what that is. He
He was right
was
there.
up front.
Oh my good.
That's terrible luck for him, and he's definitely one of the drivers that's been promising,
Yep.
showing that he can run up in the front. That might affect his points run at the end of this, but coming down to win your first segment is the 28 of Ryan Williams, followed by the 31 of Justin Malillo, 93 of Josh Chin, 80 of Caleb Paul, and the 22 of Dylan Smith.
Those 3 bonus points, that'll help him out tremendously. Ryan Williams had a shot at winning this year's Pro Line Championship, but had a string of bad races sparked off by a unfortunate accident at Bathurst. Where he found himself firewall deep in a tire wall.
That's
That led the way for Jake Poulin to take the championship, but he's bound and determined here to win this one.
You guys want to see? You guys want to see if we can talk to our in-race reporter, Caleb?
Let's see if we can dial up Caleb Paul. Hey, Caleb, this is Dylan Livigan in the booth. You got a copy?
Got a copy, good buddy.
What's it like running out there? I mean, we're seeing you guys swap positions, go 3-4 wide, high line, low line. What's better? Is the high line better? Is the low line better?
The low lane definitely is a little bit better early on the run, but the high lane is where it is to be on the long runs because you can just run so much better up there. And if you want to make a pass, you can do it, or you could really dive on the bottom and make a quick pass on somebody.
Now, what do you think the best strategy?
Justin Malillo and Dylan Smith quickly away from the pit stall. It's going to be a drag race here. Looks like Ryan Williams will get out in
I'm
front.
not even sure what you can really do right now as far as strategy. Because we still need one more
Dylan
pit
Smith
stop,
picks up
so
a
I'm
few
not sure what we're going to
positions. He works his
do.
way up
So
to the,
I'm just going to try my best to kind of stay in the
third
middle of it,
position.
not get really crazy, and just hope I'm there at the end and mix it up.
I think we're having a little bit of audio issues. I don't think Sherm can hear the 80.
Yeah, you didn't put us on. Dylan, you didn't put us on.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, Caleb, and good luck out there.
I told you to do that before.
Thank you.
Now, as things cycle out, your leader continues to be the 28 of Ryan Williams, followed by the 31 of Justin Malillo. Dylan Smith working his way up to the 3rd spot. And Kyle Riley on the outside, and they're doubling up. I think they're going to go green this lap. So based on what we saw in this first segment, who do you think is going to prevail the second segment?
It's just about anybody. Jake Pollan got the Solstice Championship, and he stole away from Ryan, so he might be able
Green
to get
flags back in the air. Coming to the start-finish line. It's a drag race. Ooh, Ryan Williams trying to clear himself. As we're 4 wide. Caleb
Oh my
Paul's sticking
goodness,
it down there. They're going to funnel out to 3 wide, now 2 wide, but Caleb pushing the issue early on in the second segment. As they're
little out of shape. Jake Poulin off turn 2. That could have been a really bad situation.
We got cars still going 3 wide, now 2 wide. Brian Mercurio thinks better of it and backs out. He's back in the server after that unfortunate connection drop. That could hinder his points run for the rest of the season. You never know. Leader that first lap was Justin Malillo. The 28 and the 62 are busy battling side by side. 62 pulling the slide job in front of the 28 out of corner number 2.
Caleb Paul's going to take it 3 wide on Mercurio and David Krikorian down into turn 3.
Saw Caleb a little bit out of shape
Dylan
there. So we're still holding it 3 wide across the finish line. Too close to tell back in the pack. They're going to sort it out to 2 wide. Your leader continues to be the 31 of Justin Willow after lap 45. Ooh, is the 66 of Krikorian hard off the wall. That's going to kill his momentum and the momentum of a couple of guys behind him. 80 of Caleb Paul making that pass on the 66 machine.
That'll keep these guys on their toes for sure. That'll catch your attention if you weren't already.
And it looks like these guys are getting back to single file, but Caleb Paul and David Krikorian were making contact.
Definitely no one touching each other in the top 5. Top 4 under a blanket. A little bit of separation back to the 5th car in line. That's Dylan Smith. With the Heartache Kid, 41 of Brahim Mercurio right behind him. Things settle out just a little bit for the time being.
Kyle getting really close to that wall.
He's in every inch of that racetrack, for sure. 28's using some room underneath the 62. They're side by side down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Ryan's pin.
It's like Ryan's gonna slide just a little bit. 62 reacting to that. That might open up the door for the 93. The 93's right there. Where's the 93 gonna go? He's just gonna stay there.
Yeah, and we haven't seen much of Josh, but now he's running up here in the top 3 possibly. He's gonna get around Kyle right.
The
Oh,
62.
Kyle's gonna get the wall.
62 using the advantage of the 62 hitting the wall just a little bit. Diving it down into turn 3. They're bottlenecking again, though. They were strung out. Now that they're racing side by side, that's going to bunch the pack back up.
David Krikorian got on the back bumper of Caleb Paul and looked like he lost the nose a little bit.
He's going to pull a hard block on the 00 of Jake Poulin. They're going to try that high line. Now to the low line.
Oh, a bump and a touch to the number 62 as he goes to the apron.
He's going to bring it back
Kyle,
up.
Last week's nice save. These guys have been making amazing saves, I tell you.
They came off that turn. They came off that turn. Dylan Smith got a run on him, and he gave him a shot. Almost sent him around.
That's a tough break if you're the 62, because now he's going to have to claw his way back up in front of these guys. I mean, he didn't lose too much time, but nonetheless, whenever you lose position, not going to be the happiest of drivers as we see the 62 all over the back bumper of that 22. Ooh, as I thought they were going to make contact there. Thought better of it, but DK's hungry for the position. He's all over the back bumper of the 62 as the 41 gets in the wall, and we got a battle for the lead.
Ryan Williams shooting it all the way down.
It's Justin Malillo going to give him plenty of room there on that outside line. We'll see if he's going to try to pull a run. He's going to try to battle back, but it's the 28 of Ryan Williams with a little bit of an advantage, but I spoke too soon. The 31 and the 28 even down the back straightaway. As we come in at quarter number 3, they're close. They're not giving each other any bit of room.
These guys are really starting to get at it now. Still got a ways to go, but everybody's bunched up. Their tensions are high.
And coming back around to complete another lap is the 28 of Ryan Williams. He brings the rest of the field along with him. New leaders, we see Justin Malillo drop back to 3rd. He lost that position to Josh Chin put Solstice Racing 1-2 and OSW in third.
Caleb Paul getting run on the outside.
Good battle back in the pack there. Close racing between the 22 and the 80. Side by side are the 66 and the 62. Playing nice for the meantime.
Really closing up on Dylan Smith's back bumper.
Oh, and we
Just
see
below.
the double zero.
Trouble. Blowing on the backstretch.
Oh, as they're going 3 wide, DK makes a hole. He makes a hole in the middle, too. He's going to try to split the 22 and the 62. He's not going to get the run that he wanted. Kind of broke his momentum when they were separating. Dylan Smith going to give him the position, though. Cal Riley's still fighting hard on the outside with DK on the inside. As they're sliding up off corner number 2. Dylan Smith looking low on the 62.
They are still side by side for the lead up here too. There's just racing throughout.
It's very close racing.
Indeed it is, Brandon. We're seeing these guys lean on each other. Look at the 93 and the 80 lean on each other coming down the front straightaway. Across the start-finish line and into turn number 1.
I think these guys are trying to cut off each other's momentum when they come down the pit.
Yeah,
Not
for
just
sure
gonna let them have the position.
For sure, we're seeing some momentum lost when these guys are battling side by side. And if I were your leader, the 41 of Brian Mercurio, I don't know what I'd want the guys behind me to do. I don't know if I'd want them to race or if I'd want them to stay single file. It's nearly 3 wide down the front straightaway again. These cars are all under a blanket.
And the more these guys race, and the more that they're 2 and 3 wide, and if you've got 1 and 2 cars lined up single file up front, they'll start to gap them a little bit, as that's already a little apparent as you see the gap between Ryan Williams and Caleb Paul. But now that they're starting to single file out, they'll close them back down. It's just like that rubber band effect. Stretch it out and you let it go, and it comes right back together.
Ooh, as we're almost seeing it.
Ryan Williams. Oh my goodness.
Ryan
That was-
Williams just searching for racetrack, just searching for air on that nose.
Now, do you think that
He
could
just
be a
about
little bit
killed
of mind games being played by the 28, or what do you think is going on? Do you think he's really trying to pass the 41?
Absolutely. You start swerving, you start dodging in and out of a guy's mirror. He doesn't know where you are. Suddenly you're alongside of him. You get the pass made.
As we come around for another lap, we're closing in on that halfway point for this segment. Lap 58 of 80. Almost 3/4 of the way through the race. Still with only 1 caution, and that was a competition caution. An endurance race being played out by these drivers. The 66 and the 80 go side by side.
I've noticed them battle a lot. Caleb Paul and David Gregorian have been battling a lot this race. And
these guys are no strangers to racing each other either. I'm sure Sherm
Oh.
can tell you stories upon stories of these guys racing. Oh, as they're going high, low, swapping positions.
Like Ryan Williams, he started to do that bobbing and weaving again, darting in and out of his mirror, and it might have gotten to him that time. He was able to get to the inside of Brian Mercurio.
Oh, as he
Mercurio's
throws
gonna
a
play the
block.
same game. To the apron he goes, down into turn 3, Mercurio putting the fight to him. That's letting David Gregorian close up, and Caleb Paul, and here comes the pack. They're closing up together. Ryan Williams going to have to lead off 4.
Just barely, though. I don't think that's what those top two drivers had in mind. I don't think he wanted to welcome in the rest of the pack, but nonetheless, he did. They're there, lap 60 of 80.
Now, pretty soon, these guys are going to have to come down the pit road. You're not going to want to make a pit stop late.
We're seeing these guys race each other really hard. That's all fine and dandy for this set of tires. But are we going to see them battle that hard early on? Ooh, in the next segment as we see the 62 dive it in on the 31. Starting to regain our single file calm before the storm. As a freight train on the bottom line underneath the 66 of David Krikorian. 41 trying to take over the second position. Caleb Paul going with him. Oh, as the 66 hits the wall hard. Off corner number 2. That's going to give the 41 a little bit of an advantage. Down the back straightaway, but not much. We see the 66 drive it in a little bit harder. These two drivers holding up for the drivers behind him. But putting on a show for the fans for sure.
Comes the 00 hitting pit road again. First one on pit road.
He did that last time.
Yeah, I think this might be a little bit of a different story. I think the 00 was out on Gilligan's Isle. Back in the pack there, he's still struggling trying to learn the car, learn the setup. As the 62 and the 80 beating and banging down the back straightaway. Really surprised we haven't seen a caution with these drivers making these aggressive moves like the 41. We saw the 41 dive it low. Yes, he did. Not going to happen, though. Looking for the run out of the corner. He's all over the back bumper, that 28. 66 is right there, too.
I also am surprised that there hasn't been a caution, especially with the way these guys have been racing. I mean, we saw people getting sideways and making all kinds of crazy.
And I think that was why they decided to throw in that competition caution at lap 50. Bunch up the drivers, get them a little bit closer. I mean, you always want the drivers to run their own race, but I mean, nothing hurting with bunching the guys up halfway and letting them do it all over again. Cutting essentially one race into 2 races.
Number 67, Andrew Schwartz, off pit road, and Josh Chin now entering. And I expect to see a few more dive onto pit road, at least in the next lap or 2. As Malillo and Dylan Smith come.
Ooh, and we're seeing Brian Mercurio block the 62. Your leader continues to be the 28 of Ryan Williams. Holding off the 66, the 80, the 41, and the 62 are your top 5.
I do believe they're going to come down pit next line.
These guys definitely trying to stretch this segment as long as they can. They're running slower laps, though. They're hitting 38s. What I think, let's see, Caleb's best lap is a 36.7, so quite a bit of fall off at the end of this run. But your tires are going to be fresher for longer after the pit stop and towards the end. It's give or take, and drivers making up their own decision on what they want. These drivers still on the racetrack, trying to push every ounce out of this set of tires.
Yep, they're still stretching. Somebody down pit road.
The 62 of Kyle Riley visits pit road and gets some fresh good years. That leaves the top 4 out to battle out their own race. Groups of 2 battling out.
What'll be interesting to look at here, Josh Chin at 93, he just hit pit road a few laps ago, and he's got a little bit of drafting help from Andrew Schwartz. The longer these lead guys stay on the track, the more time he's going to gain there in the draft with fresh tires. So you might want to take a look at those two.
As there we see
come to the closing stages.
Yeah, and there we see the 93 and the 67 both. He's got Justin Malillo right behind him, but he disappears. The 62 of Kyle Riley's gone. Oh, and he regains his connection. Luckily for him, not dropping out. But that's that kind of screwed up the draft there for Chin coming out of 4 and into 1 as we see the 62 merge back out. Back up to our front. What's now three drivers. I guess the 41 of Brian Mercurio hit pit road.
Yep, looks like they're pitting the.
All 3 of these drivers trying to slow it down, get on pit road, make the commitment count. Looks like they all get down on a pit road safely. Not sure who's going to cycle back around to the lead. I think it might be the 41. No, 41 was on pit road. We could see the double zero.
And Jake Poulin, through all he's done this race, he's going to try to keep fighting, but he has got a train of cars in Josh Chin, Andrew Schwartz, Justin Malillo, 1, 2, 3 that are going to run him down fairly quickly here.
I mean, we thought it might have been
off pit road merge.
We thought it was going to be a train wreck for the double zero, but he's definitely holding his own here. He's going to cycle around to.
As there's cars coming off pit road that have crossed the scoring loops. So
all right.
First, but it'll be. It looks like DK is exited on the backstretch just in front of Jake Poulin.
Wow, Jake didn't even get to lead a lap. I do believe David is going to lead this lap. Or Kyle. Oh no, Kyle's left hand.
Now we're seeing Krikorian. We're seeing Krikorian pull a little bit of strategy here, as what he was mixed in with the 80 and all of them, but he's out front, separated from all of them. So not sure what the deal is on the 66. I mean, you thought he would have learned from other people's mistakes that first segment, but he's trying. He's going out on a limb. He said before this race, sure, definitely a man full of strategy. There's a lot of cards in his deck that he can use.
As I said, he's, of all the people here, he's probably got the most experience on especially these types of racetracks. And as you said earlier in the broadcast, like, he can conserve when he wants to, and then he can turn on the jets when he wants to. We've just crossed the line for 10 laps to go.
The race is coming to a close quite quickly.
As we're just we're getting 9 laps to go here. 10 laps to go right now when they cycle through. Indeed, it will be 9 laps to go. Krikorian in the lead, but everyone behind him's coming fast. Oh, as we see Justin Malillo all the way down onto the apron, and he's going to come up and nearly making contact with the 93. Nice save by the both of them. That could have been really ugly.
Good awareness there by the number 93. That could have ended his race.
Yeah, Josh Shin, definitely one of the drivers that preaches awareness week after week to the more inexperienced drivers, and he's proven that he can practice what he preaches in that corner, as that was really close quarters racing.
Malillo's not going to give up the fight either.
Might I add, David earlier was having issues on pit road, but he is now the leader, so he recovered from that.
Yeah, I think he learned his lesson from missing the commitment cone, as we're seeing the 93 so much faster on entry than the 00. But yeah, for sure, looks like all these drivers made it down on pit road cleanly. Maybe with exception of the 62 and the 41, we'll have to check up on them. 62's all by himself. 41 with help from Caleb, but 41 a lap down. Not sure, did he fall out of the server again?
It's possible. I wouldn't pay attention.
Left break as he rounds out the end of this line here.
Josh Chin has overtaken the second position from Jake Poulin, so now he's going to be in perfect position to make a run at David Krikorian. From what it looks like, he's got the best shot at him.
And Chin might be using the 00 as a pick to kind of separate himself and give him a little bit of an advantage over the 31, but the 31's not going to have any of it. He dives it in underneath the 00 and the 93. He's pushing hard. He's going to slide up off the corner a little bit, but they give each other room. 31 trying as hard as he can to get around the 93 to bring the fight to the 66. This is exactly what the 66 wants to see in his rearview mirror. He wants to see these guys beat and bang.
Hung out to dry now on the outside, as these guys are going to stay single file. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if Poulin has a fast enough car. Poulin or Schwartz have fast enough cars to get up to Lillo's back bumper.
That really hurts the 93. He's going to have to claw his way back and get all that time that he lost as he bounces off the wall.
Now Schwartz,
Here
like
comes
I said
Malillo, challenge
earlier,
for the
Schwartz
lead.
was just running around.
Oh, and he's going to try to pull the slide job. He slides in front of the 66. 66 goes high. And he's going to be able to complete the pass. He's not going to let him have it easy, though. Side by side is the 31 and the 66. 66 trying to get a bumper in on that high side. Going to have a little bit of a disadvantage. Maybe he's going to try the crossover coming out of turn number 2. Not enough.
They are catching cover. Nothing.
As
Coming to
the
the strike for 3 to go.
3 to go for your leader, Justin Malillo. He has 17 championships, too many wins to count. And I misspoke earlier, he's representing FTF in that bright red 31 machine. But DK's right there.
Give up.
I mean, look at how much he pulls both the 66 and the 00 coming off of that corner. Looks like Kerkorian's got a little bit of an advantage in 3 and 4, but Malillo just motoring his way in front.
David and Jake trying to run the high.
We're coming down to 2 laps to go. Is the high side going to work for the 66 and the 00? Do they want past each other, or are they trying to work with each other? They might want to work with each other to get around the 31.
Poulin was all over DK's back bumper down the front straightaway there. He's doing everything he can, but if it's got to come to a point where, are you going to try to push him to the win, or are you going to try to take that position?
And he's going to take the position, and they make contact!
Oh, contact.
Sideways is the 66. He saves it. Not without losing momentum and losing a couple positions, though.
And now Poulin hits the wall.
Oh, Jake.
And that's going to open the door for Schwartz to take over the second position. White flag's in the air.
White flag in the air for Justin Malillo. If he can bring it around for 2 more miles, he will be your winner of this race. But the race is for, well, pretty much the entire top 5 at this moment. We saw a complete shuffle and complete mix-up. As the 28's going to try to get around the 66. And he drives it in deep, nearly making contact with the rear bumper of
to the checkered flag.
the 93, but coming down off of turn number 4, it'll be Justin Malillo getting his first win in the second race of the NR 2003 Race to Champions Series.
Malillo cruises to this one, as they had an intense battle for second there.
Bullen driving it down to the inside.
He's just going to kill himself.
But your man for sure, and the other drivers are letting him know it. It's the 31 of Justin Malillo.
Giving him a little bit of love tap.
Scraping out the victory. I mean, he raced this race exactly like he needed to. And looked at like at one point he might not be able to get around the cars that he needed to win this race, but playing the strategy good, driving the car hard, and bringing home the victories. He's going to light him up down here on the front straightaway. And Justin Malillo, I mean, this is really what he needed to rejuvenate himself in the championship hunt after terrible luck in Daytona, getting involved in a couple of incidents there, but I mean, bringing it back with a win, that's when you know you're doing something right.
Absolutely. These guys, all the drivers did a really good job today just keeping these cars in one piece, and it got a little tense at some points, and then Malillo, they pulled the strategy. He was one of the drivers, stayed out there on the tires, and they managed to bring it back. He stayed right there in position, took advantage.
We'll see if we can get conversation started with our winner here. Ending celebration, I'm sure.
I'm not good with interviews, so you're gonna.
And let's bring you back down through the top 10 here. 10 drivers started the race. 10 drivers finished. Your winner, of course, is the 31 of Justin Malillo. 67 of Kyle Riley brings it home in second. Third, I mean, don't count him out. Jake Poulin getting the third spot. Fourth is Josh Chin after trading a little paint with the 66. Fifth place is the 28 of Ryan Williams. Sixth place goes to the 66. Seventh place, Caleb Paul. Eighth place, Dylan Smith. Ninth place, Kyle Riley. And tough break for the 41 of Brian Mercurio. He's going to bring it home in 10th, your last car in the field. As we have Justin Malillo here. Justin, congrats on your win. What was the deciding factor in that race?
Thank you. First of all, and that was one of the most fun races that I've ever been in. I was trying to do a little bit of strategy because I used that first run to my advantage. It seemed like the people who pitted way early were falling off quicker, and it seemed like the people who pitted way late were not able to catch up in time. So I tried to position myself in the middle of it so that I would still be with the guys who pitted early and way ahead of the guys who decided to pit late and take the tires late. So it worked out for me. I was feeling pretty good going into the last 10 laps, and I made it stick. And it was just, again, one of the most fun races that I've ever been in, albeit 10 cars, but 10 of the most fastest, best drivers, still left on this simulator.
And I mean, that really is a testament to your driving ability, because we saw you work your way up. We saw you get around the 66. Did the 66 pressure you at all, knowing that he was behind you, or did you just run your race like any other race?
Well, I've raced with DK a couple times, and I know he's way fast, and I think he tried to do a little bit of strategy there as well. He pitted late, so I think he took 2 tires. I'm not sure, but I saw him come out. I saw him in the lead, and I was in like 4th with like 6 or 7 laps to go, and we were all sticking with him. So like, might as well just make the moves. I made the move on Josh and someone else, Andrew, I think it was, and just I got around them. I was right behind the 66 there, and waited for my opportunity, and struck.
And putting on a great show for the people watching, for sure. Sherm, do you have any questions for him?
Well, what's running through your mind when you're chasing down David Krikorian, and this is your chance to grab the win?
I mean, it's just like a normal race. I want to win. The car in front of me, he might be the best driver out there, but it doesn't matter when it comes down to the closing laps. You got to make your moves. You got to go out there, and if you got what it takes to go out there and win, it's all it comes down to. I was looking at, when I got into second place, I was looking at first place, and didn't matter who it was. I was gonna try and get around him, and it worked out for me.
Now, Justin, is there anyone you'd like to thank as putting your car in victory lane?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank all the guys at Solstice for putting this, Race of Champions on, and inviting me to it. when I got the invite, I wasn't sure if I was really any good anymore or material for this, but I feel a little bit more confident going into the next month's race now that I got a win under my belt. I want to thank everybody from Mile High Motorsports and the Mile High line, and I also want to thank all my friends and Open Speedway and FTF Racing and everybody who supported me, and thank you guys for the great broadcast.
And thanks for your time, Justin. We're going to move on here to the 00 of Jake. I mean, you can't count this guy out. We thought he was done. He hit the wall. He was back. He lost the draft, and we thought he was done, for the rest of the race. And we saw him come back and finish up in the top. Jake, why couldn't we count you out in that race? How did you get back?
I just played the strategy right. That I did pull the same strategy in the Pro Line race last Thursday and kind of stole the win when I really wasn't the fastest guy out there. I just pretty much did the textbook split the last run in half, so you have to run the least amount of laps on old tires as possible. And by doing that, I gave myself about 2.5 to 3 second lead over a group of 3 cars that was Chin, Andrew, and Malillo. But the draft plays so much of a factor here. They ended up running me down before I could get to DK after he came out on his alternate 2-tire strategy.
Now, Jake, do you think this is going to be the story for the rest of the season? I mean, we saw strategy play out in Daytona. We saw strategy play out here. What do you think it's going to take? What do you think it's going to take to win in this series? Do you think it's going to take strategy, or do you think it's going to be just pure driving talent?
I think strategy is going to be the #1 thing, because you saw a lot of guys that ran up front tonight not get the finishes they probably deserved because they probably didn't have the right strategy. Like you saw Ryan Williams, Caleb Paul, they waited and pitted late, but that put them too far behind, so they couldn't catch up towards the end.
Sherm, do you have any questions for Jake?
Yeah, we saw you struggle early on in the race, coming off the turn, scraping up against the wall. Is that a result of overdriving, or were you just pushing to get to the front?
I was overdriving it a lot. Towards the end of the first segment, I kind of just started riding in, not really caring where I was running, because I held the lead there for a few laps, but I knew with me pitting early and everybody else pitting late, the fresher tires took over there towards the end of the run.
Now, Jake, earlier on in the race, you had gotten sideways and had an amazing save. How terrifying was that?
That was really scary for me, because in that kind of situation, I was thinking I was going to pull down to the bottom off the corner. I kind of lifted early, but I was kind of just being sandwiched between Justin and Chin, as I was about to run into the back of Justin as Chin was about to run in the back of me, so I kind of twitched the wheel bit to get out of it, and I almost lost it, but thank God I know how to steer a car back straight once it gets out of shape.
Now, Jake, is there anyone you'd like to thank on that 00 machine?
I'd just like to thank the whole league for putting this together. It's a great thing to have, a really small field, only 10 drivers, but one of the most competitive fields you will have nowadays in our 2003.
Definitely really competitive, for sure. We're going on to Andrew Schwartz here. Andrew, another one of those guys who, we thought he was out of the race. He was kind of a little bit far back, and all of a sudden he just pulls out a great finish. How did you do it?
I think I honestly just got lucky. I played the strategy somewhat right, pitting about halfway through the run.
Now, how much does luck play into a factor in this series?
Not. I think it'd be more strategy than luck. I just didn't want to run up front. I'd like running in the back and logging laps until the end. Then I'd start to go, but I don't know. I think it's more strategy than luck.
Sherm, you got any questions for him?
No, none that I can think of.
Brandon, you got anything for him? Alrighty then. Andrew, who would you like to thank on that 67 machine?
I'd just like to thank the league for putting this on. It's really fun and competitive. I have a great time learning it.
Alright, thank you for your time. Moving on to one of the guys putting it all on. I mean, the guy who we're talking about here when we say the league, one of many people putting this on, by the way. But the man sort of behind it all. Is this series unfolding the way that you'd like it to, Caleb?
Second race definitely was a lot more better. I mean, I think the series is pointing in a pretty positive direction, and you know, I hope that was pretty entertaining for everyone to watch on the stream. It's kind of weird, I'm sure, to see Daytona not be like Daytona and Michigan be like Daytona, but it's been fun for the drivers, so that's all that counts.
And I mean, you're putting on a great show for the fans. We're seeing you in particular, along with a lot of people in this field, making moves, going from the low side to the high side, leaning on each other. What's the driving motive behind that? Is it for the people on the broadcast, or is it really that intense? And does it really mean that much to win?
I mean, it's really not showmanship. I mean, it's really just the intensity of trying to make sure we can get up there, making moves when we had to, because it was hard to move through the field and stay there all night. Like, you had to really make moves all the time to make sure you stay up there, otherwise you get left behind.
Yeah, and unfortunately, probably not the finish that you'd like to see, but putting on a great show for the fans. Who would you like to thank, not only on behalf of you as the number 80, but as a league in general?
Definitely all the guys that have showed up and supported this idea. I mean, kind of mixed feelings at first, but looks like everyone's kind of made it work out, and we're all pretty happy now about it, and I'm just glad to see it all come together.
And obviously, it wouldn't be the way that it is without the great sponsors that support Solstice and NROC race after race, and we'll give a tribute to them after we sign off. On behalf of Keith Sherman, Brandon Nicholson, I'm Dylan Livingood. Thanks everyone for watching. See you guys March 8th at the Doorstop Nation 150K at Riverside. So long, everyone.
Nothing will ever sound the same without a Turtle Beach headset. Hear everything. Defeat everyone.